What's up everyone? My name is Derek. Welcome to my channel Superbike Life. In today's track bike build episode, we are doing a radiator flush and fill right after this. Welcome back everyone. So as I mentioned before, in this episode of my track bike build series, we are going to do a radiator flush and fill. And 2 episodes ago, I think episode 9 or something like that, I showed you guys the inside of my really cruddy overflow tank and it had all types of gooey, gunk, dirty nastiness in there. And that was after I drained it. So imagine what the insides of my engine and coolant system look like. Ugh. So anyway, what we're going to do is I'm going to take some straight distilled water and we're going to flush that through the system a few times, and then we're going to finish it up with a water wetter and distilled mix. I'm choosing water wetter because I know that all the tracks that I currently run at, water wetter is allowed at all of them. For example, Chuck Walla doesn't allow engine ice, I believe, and I think that's what was in the BMW before. So I'm pretty confident that all the tracks that I run at, AMP, Indy Motorsports Ranch, Chuck Walla, and former Firebird, which is now Wild Horse Pass Raceway or something along those lines, they all allow water wetter. So we're going to fill this up with water wetter and distilled water. Then we'll take it for a quick spin to make sure that it's not overheating or doing anything like that. And then we'll call this one a wrap. So before we do that, we got to head on over to my tool chest so I can show you exactly what you're going to need for this job. So let's head on over there. So here it is, guys. This is everything that you are going to need to do a radiator flush and fill on your BMW S1000RR, or any bike for that matter, minus the tools that you're going to need to remove your fairings. Now, if you don't know how to remove your fairings, you should probably stop right now and turn this video off, because you should probably not be working on your bike. I'm just joking. Anyway, let's go through these items one by one. You are going to need some shop towels, so make sure that you have plenty of those. You are going to need a T25 Torx bit. It can be a T-handled like this one or a socket. You're going to need some type of clamping device. I use like little plastic ones, but something to pinch off your overflow hose. You are going to need some distilled water. You are going to need your coolant additive of choice. I'm using water wetter. You could be using antifreeze, engine ice, Kool-Aid, whatever it is. Make sure that you have plenty of it and distilled water. You are going to need a bucket to drain your old coolant into. Ours is already drained, but we're going to flush through a few times, so we're going to need a draining bucket. And you are going to need some type of funnel to add your fluid or coolant with it. And this is a huge, huge monster funnel. I know, that's what she said. You don't need one that big. That's what she said. But anyway, I'm sorry for that. I had to do it. It was, whatever. Anyway, but this is it, minus a stand, obviously. You guys know me, safety first. So find yourself a stand. And normally I say, you don't want to do this, a job on the side stand. But however, BMW actually recommends that you put the bike on its side stand when you're purging the system of air. So you can do this on the side stand if you want, but I have a table now, so I'm going to use that. If you have a front stand or a rear stand or a side paddock stand or what have you, just make sure it's something that will keep the bike stable. Now, on a difficulty scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably give this one about a 2.5. It's not really that difficult at all. But enough talk, let's head on over to the bike and get to work. All right, so here we are over at the bike, guys. Normally we would start this process with a flush, but a few episodes we already done that, and this is empty because we just replaced the radiator, so there's nothing to do there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the table a little bit, grab my funnel, remove the radiator cap, and then we are going to start to fill this with just plain distilled water. So I have to raise this up just a little bit. All right, we're going to lift the safety and then lower the table down. Man, I love this thing. All right, that's about good enough. Okay, so now I'm going to grab my funnel and some distilled water, and I'm just going to start filling the system. All right, let's fill it. Now I'm just going to check. All right. Okay, so we have our distilled water in the system now. What I'm going to do now is just I'm going to seal up the system, and then I'm going to put the gas tank back on, and then I'm going to run the system. Now there's still air in the system. I haven't bled it or anything, and we're not completely topped up, but that's okay because I'm just going to flush through a few times. We're just going to run this right out anyway. So let me do that. You guys don't need to see that, so I'll be right back. And we're back, guys. So as you can see, the tank is on the bike. I've already let it run for about 5 minutes or so, and it's been cooling for about another 5 minutes or so. So we're going to grab our T25 Torx and our bucket, and we are going to remove this screw here. Again, the one that is one T25 because all the other ones are T30, and the one that's sticking out, that is our drain for this. Now again, we could remove this lower hose right here, but that makes a mess, and I don't want to make a mess, so we're going to do a slow drain here. We're going to remove this screw. And we'll remove the radiator cap. Now this isn't that hot. Again, you should never, well, if you don't know, you should not remove a radiator cap while your system is hot. You'll get a very nasty surprise. And now we will remove the screw and drain it into said bucket. I'll put the screw back in. And then I'll repeat the process another 2 times or so. All right, so I will be right back. Welcome back again, guys. So the bike is all drained. I've drained it a few times or flushed it through a few times now. And one of the things I forgot to mention is during your flushing process, you want to be looking for leaks. Obviously, you know, wherever you place your new hoses and so forth, you just want to be looking for leaks to make sure that everything is okay. Now, the other question you may be asking yourself is, how many times do I need to flush this through? Well, that's a very good question, and I'm glad you asked. Let's head on over to my tool chest, and I'll show you how you know. So here we are at my tool chest, guys. And let me explain exactly what you're looking at if it's not obvious. These are from left to right, the drain and flushes that I've done. And then on the far right, the very last cup, that is just straight distilled water poured straight out of the jug. It's a comparison cup. So the first cup here on our left, this is our initial drain. This is what initially came out of the bike, and that's to be expected. But then we have our first flush, our second, and our third. And you can see the third flush is pretty close to the actual comparison cup with just the straight distilled water. So that's how you tell when you're done. Whenever you get to the end there and it sort of looks clear, like clear water, then you're done. There's nothing more to do. At this point, what we can do now is we can turn back around to the bike and we can do our last fill with water wetter and distilled water. So let's get to that right now. Okay guys, so we are ready to do our final fill. I have my water wetter, distilled water pre-mixed. I actually changed my clip that I showed you in my tools because that one didn't have enough clipping force, so I got a different one that's a little bit stronger. So all you want to do is you want to take your fill hose here, pull it out of the channel, and take your clips and clip it here as close to the top as possible. And we want to just pinch it off there a little bit. Don't want to do any damage to it, but we don't want any coolant flowing, overflowing in here and then back into the overflow tank. We want it to all go down into the system. Now we're just going to fill the system back up. So let me back up the camera and then you guys can watch me pour coolant into the damn bike. So you just want to fill this until it's up to the top, and then what we'll do is we'll squeeze the hoses, try to work some air bubbles up and out. And then we'll remove the bleeder screw and just continue that process until we feel like all the air is worked out. And then we'll finish off by topping off the overflow tank. And then we'll take it for a quick spin, not tonight because it's now about 11 o'clock in the evening. So I can see some air bubbles bubbling up here. I'm just going to continue to work that out. So I'm going to go over to the other side and do the same thing. Now I'm going to grab my bucket and go over to the bleeder holes and then just sort of open the valve a little bit and bleed some air and coolant out. Okay. So now I'm going to cap this. I don't want it to all drain out. All right. And now we'll start the fill process again. Again, just working some more air bubbles out of the system. And we'll continue to do that until we don't get any more bubbles. All right, guys, so I'm happy with the coolant level right now. I've spent a few minutes working out air bubbles and so forth. So now we're just going to top up the overflow tank, and then that will be it for this episode. I'm going to go again probably tomorrow morning and take this for a quick spin around the block, let it come up to temperature and so forth, and make sure that we don't have any leaks or anything like that. But let's top this up. The actual levels on the inside of the tank, believe it or not. So right about in this area there. So right, just a little bit more, and then I'm gonna call that good. There we go. We are right in between max and min. So now I'm gonna put my radiator cap back on. Put the cap on my overflow tank. Put the hose back in the channel. And now we are ready to take this for a spin. Well, that's a wrap for this episode of my BMW S1000RR track bike build. We got the radiator replaced, we got the Samco hoses installed, we did a flush, and we filled it with distilled water and water wetter. Now I just need to take it for a quick spin around the block to make sure that everything's all right and there are no issues. Then I'll throw all the fairings back on it and we'll be ready to go for this Sunday at AMP with Excel track days. Now I got a little bit of bad news. I signed up late for this track day because I didn't think I was gonna make it. So I'm on the waiting list, so I gotta wait for 2 people to cancel in order to ride this Sunday. However, if I don't get in, Desert Road Racing Organization, they have a track day at AMP on the 25th, so I'll definitely be going to that one if I don't make this one this coming Sunday. Nevertheless, if you found this video useful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. If you didn't, then smash it, but still subscribe. Leave me a comment, let me know. I know a couple of you would like to see me ride more, but I'm just trying to put out content out there for you guys because there's really not a whole lot for these superbikes, these European superbikes, as a matter of fact. So I'm trying to get some content out there, build some reference material for you guys. But don't worry, I'm going to do plenty of riding. I have a lot of stuff coming up, not only track days, but California Superbike School. I got a trip back east. We're going to do some riding with my boys and a bunch of other stuff happening. So we're going to do some more demos on some new bikes. So a lot of riding is coming up. Don't worry about that. But right now I'm doing some tech stuff and getting bikes ready. Nevertheless, like it, comment, subscribe. I'm Derek, Euro Superbike Life. Take care.